Hello, everyone. We're so glad to have you here for our first inaugural Star Wars Talks on reimagining Star Wars. Today, we have as our special guest Thor Skywalker. We hope you'll be forgiving because when we recorded this, our sound wasn't really all set up right. So we hope that it'll improve as we move forward. We're going to try to do this on a monthly basis. So without further ado, here we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our special interview. I'm a magic maker, and I'm with Vega and our friend Santa, and we have our special guest of Thor Skywalker. Hello?
Who talks now? You talk? Do I talk?
I'm pretty sure they got it okay.
Now, did you get the reference?
I thought that was an intro for Thor, but maybe not.
I was wondering if you wanted me to who talks now. I like the
hello there.
I tried to use the quote from Force Awakens. I can't remember
I thought it was a good one, too. It was so apropos. I think that was a very good intro right there. We didn't even plan it.
You want to, Thor, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hello there, I'm Thor Skywalker. I don't know what else to say.
I was wanting you to say hello there, so I go General Thornobi. I'll cut it up. We'll get it in there.
Yeah.
All right, ask your first question.
Well, hey, Thor, thanks so much for taking some time with us this afternoon. It's great to reconnect with you. I know it's been a long time since I've been able to chat with you, and we know that right now the movie theaters are struggling. Every time they try to reopen, there's another snag. They're not able to get, of course, the theaters full, which limits their ticket sales. And for Lucasfilm specifically, it seems to have worked in their favor. What are your thoughts as far as the movies that were announced supposed to start coming out? What are your thoughts about the future of Star Wars from a theatrical standpoint and where we stand today on those?
Well, I mean, I really think the future of Star Wars is going to be on Disney Plus, not so much movies. I mean, luckily for them, like you said, it's not until December of 2023 that they have their next movies, and hopefully, everything goes well, and by that time, we'll be in a more normal world, and the thing that will not be named will be dealt with. So, I mean, either way, I think the future of Star Wars was always going to be Disney Plus. Even if movie theaters were doing fine, I just think it's a much better format to tell a story, fit for Star Wars, something more grandiose. I think the television series is kind of slowly but surely even trumping, movies these days.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. Absolutely. I think the future is in the longer story format.
Well, Vega has a question for you. It's regards to kind of the current state of Star Wars and how we got here, and how that would also affect the future. So,
I like the sequels. Do you think the prequels will be looked at the same way as the sequels were in the future?
Or that the sequels will be looked at in the same way as the prequels are looked at now?
There is a possibility of that. I mean, the big question is, how many people from your generation really got into it? I mean, how many people love Star? That's what I think Disney really misunderstood, the fact that with their sequel trilogy, they kind of didn't really acknowledge the prequels too much, and they kind of didn't realize that the generation who grew up with those movies loved those movies, and I think something like that can happen with the sequels. I think the problem is there's more competition now than there was 20, 15 years ago with the prequels. The Marvel MCU cinematic universe, whatever you'd like to call it, I think is this generation Star Wars more than Star Wars was. But still, I think 15, 20 years from now, you'll see a definite defense of the sequels from this current growing up generation. So I think something like that could happen, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the MCU in the same vein as we've looked at the TV series, they've been even the MCU has been long form storytelling, even though they've done it in these blocks of 2 to 2.5 hours. So do you think, even if we do go back to movies, do you think it'll be in that same kind of format that we're going to continue, that really the only way to tell stories going in the future is long form format in a sense?
People love that interconnectivity. People love to know that, and I don't know why that is necessarily. I mean, I like it, and I couldn't exactly articulate why I like knowing that this movie is connected to that movie and that there's this bigger fictional universe out there that, everything's a part of. So I think whatever they're going to do with these next 3 movies that they have announced, I think there will be, that desire to build to something. Because I think that's what the plan with Solo was. I think, with Darth Maul in there at the end, I think everybody's like, well, that was just straight fan service. No, I think they really had a plan to, maybe include him in the Boba Fett movie. Maybe Darth Maul hires Boba Fett, and then you have the Obi-Wan, movie, and perhaps somehow Maul is connected to that because he's looking for him, or whatever else it might be. So I think whatever they do next with the movies, there will be that effort to, not exactly copy the MCU, but to connect them. And they'll probably connect them to whatever they're doing in the Disney Plus shows as well.
Hey, Thor,
Yeah.
I got a question for you. So your profile pic that you're showing right now? Luke is holding Thor's hammer. Does that mean he's worthy?
That's a good question, and yes, I do think Luke is worthy.
Or is he just using the Force?
That's an interesting question. Would the Force work on Thor's hammer? That's one of those nerd questions that we could probably debate for a long time. Could you Thor's hammer with the Force?
The Force is always worthy, right?
As long as you use it the right way.
So,
It wouldn't matter with any human anyway.
So that's the question. That's the discussion we have to have here. Can you lift Thor's hammer with the Force? So I guess it would depend on whether the user's worthy, or it depend on whether just the Force is being used right.
You have to go with the user on that one.
It just depends on the user?
I think so. That would be my vote.
All right. So, Thor, one of the things that we like to do on this channel is to do fan fiction, of course. And we are big fan fiction proponents. And that has been one of the reasons that we have followed you for 4 years now. Right from the very beginning, we started following you you started putting videos, and then you started putting fan fiction, and we were right with you all along. So I know you're currently working on a fan fiction with the sequels. You put that out there, and I know you've been getting artists. How is that coming along, and when do you think that's going to be coming out?
Well, it's coming along slowly but surely. It hasn't been easy, but we have a really amazing team. We have probably, 25, 30 people who are pretty dedicated to the project, whether that be on the voice acting side or the art side or anything else. So it's been a difficult process to kind of realize figure out how we want to realize this vision, how we want to put it all together. But it's been going well. And the hope right now is early spring, or maybe May the 4th, something like that, for a release.
We are definitely very, very excited for it, and can't wait. And we hope that we can piggyback on with you by showing some of your trailers when you get them going, so we can talk about it. But no, we love having these conversations, and we love fan fiction, and we support it in all ways. And we encourage people who are interested in fan fiction to check out Thor's fan fiction. He's got plenty of them back there in his library. And what was your first fan fiction?
The very first one was actually, it was like a remake, not a remake, but a kind of a reimagining of A New Hope was the very first one I did. And that was where, at the beginning of the movie where the R2 and C3PO get away in the escape pod, and, the stormtroopers just kind of let them go, or the officers let them go, that it's the opposite, where they just shoot them down just to make sure there was nothing on board. So how episode 4 would go if R2 and 3PO had been killed or destroyed was basically my first idea. Not my most popular one. That was back when my channel was very new. So it's, but another one I did after that was the Ahsoka Twilight, or goodness gracious, I can't remember the name of the one. But it's an Ahsoka one where she goes to Mortis and kind of tries to save Anakin. And that was probably my most popular one.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites. That one, and the one where Ahsoka trained Luke. I don't know why those were really good. I really enjoyed
it. Dark Vengeance was probably one of the more beloved ones, I think. When people tend to bring them up, they always bring up Dark Vengeance, which was what if Maul had killed Obi-Wan on Tatooine in that episode of Rebels. And it kind of spirals from there. It really kind of moves away from that premise and becomes something much bigger.
Wait a minute.
When what was your question about the nows?
When was your first now, and how many times have you used it?
That's a hard question to answer. The nows, I had this tendency to start videos with the word now without realizing it. Then it would probably happen at least 50% of the time. So people started to make, mention of it in the comments. Did you realize you start every video or almost every video with now? And honestly, I didn't. And so at some point I just said, well, let's run with this. Let's let this be my little catchphrase. So it's probably been maybe 2 to 3 years now since I've started a video without the word now. That's quite a few now. So I don't know exactly how many videos I've done off the top of my head, but it's several hundred I've started with now.
Well, I remember I'm a huge fan, and I started watching all of your videos. I went back to the very first ones, and anybody who's a fan of Thor Skywalker should definitely go back and watch those first ones just for the sheer entertainment value of them, because your channel has grown quite a bit since then. Along that path, when it switched from being the Kanji Club thing, is when the now started becoming more regular.
I mean, the original idea with the channel was I wanted to just kind of talk Star Wars with people. So that was right after not right after, but shortly after The Force Awakens and the whole, tell that to Conjure Club. So that's where that came from. So my original idea for the channel was, let's talk Star Wars and, tell that to Conjure Club. So that's where that kind of came from. And it's weird for me to watch those early videos now because for whatever reason, I have a very high-pitched voice in those videos, and I don't know why I used to talk like that in the videos. I actually have a much deeper voice when I talk naturally.
It is. I laugh so hard. Not like at you, but just because when it was, for anybody starting a YouTube channel, you learn and you grow and you start figuring out sort of your pacing. But those early videos, some of those are gold, absolute gold. It's just from an entertainment standpoint. I love them.
Yeah, you learn a lot along the way. I'll say that for sure. Like every now and then I watch some of those early videos and I'm like, why did people ever start watching me?
They're great. That's why. That's me.
Hey Thor, which Skywalker is your favorite and why?
It has to be Luke. I mean, I grew up, loving the original trilogy, and I don't want to be too Luke had a huge impact on my life, but when you watch this character 100 times, literally, and he was inspirational for me. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. So I've always just admired someone who, for one, who can have faith in another person like that. Who, even the worst of people, I think in this world we want to rush to judgment a lot of the times on people. We want to not forgive them for mistakes. We don't want to put things into context. We don't want to, we just want to look at what they say right now and judge them. And I think that's one of the worst things we do in the world. And there was a guy who put faith in his father, and he was rewarded for it. And to me, that's inspirational. To me, that's looking for the good, and even the worst of us is something worthy.
Mine's probably Darth Vader.
Anakin Skywalker is your favorite, huh?
Yes.
So you like the fact that he started off good and then became...
That would probably be me if I was in Star Wars. I'd probably turn to the dark side fairly easily.
I think we all would.
I think in reality, most people would, yes.
Yes.
I think it's a hard road. I don't think people realize how hard it is to be good when you have that kind of power. And I think everybody would do. I think a good example of how we would be with that kind of power is actually from the Lord of the Rings trilogy with Galadriel. See my beauty and tremble.
It's so hard to make the right choice, and if you can't make the right choice, you might as well end up going to the dark side.
Yep, I think that's the truth for us all, and I think that's a good case. So, what was your first video? I know what our first video to watch you was, but what was your first video?
My first video was actually a video about midi-chlorians and why they don't ever get mentioned after the prequel trilogy. It was my I don't even know if it's still up there or if I took it down.
Oh, well, I guess that's the first video I watched. So I would say I've been with you from the beginning. I actually didn't realize that.
I call our subscribers mini-lorians.
It's a good name.
I don't think we've spread that out yet. But hey, now guys, you're our mini-lorians.
Mandalorian.
Yeah, that was the first one I did, and I got about, I think, 20 views and got me about 5 subscribers.
I didn't realize that that was the video I watched of you first. I mean, I don't think I saw it right when you brought it out, though. I think
that would have been in probably 2016, probably early 2016, that video would be from.
Right after The Force Awakens. I think because I was actually had pulled, after The Force Awakens, I had pulled back out my rewrites of the prequels. And so I've been listening to other people's rewrites of the prequels during that period of time. Because I remember that's when you had Belated Media. I think that was like 2015 as everybody was preparing for the sequels to come out. You had, what's that guy's name? He has the cat wolf character as his avatar. I can't remember what it is.
A furry?
No, it's not furry. I can't remember. But anyway, he did his own version of the prequels as well. And I think those were all about 2015 when they came out. And so I was I enjoyed The Force Awakens, and I was like, I'm going to break those things back out and rewrite those and finish rewriting those. And I remember listening to your video around that same time. So, I mean, this kind of lets you know, like, the very beginning of this whole thing that started this whole process was a fan fiction bent. And so when you started fan fiction, that was a thing that kind of, cemented me to you. And then Vega started listening a little later, and as she got older, because she was only 5.
No, so I want to ask just a completely change of subject. So with Mandalorian season 2 coming up and the season 2 trailer, there's a lot of speculation. It's an exciting time as you get ready for the unknown to speculate. I know one of the videos you put out that blew your channel up was about who Rey might be. All right, and that was, I think, a pivotal moment for your channel. And this is a time when we are again in that period when we're getting ready for something to come out, and you get a chance to take a peek at something and guess what might be on the horizon. So as you look at the trailer, you look at what's out there. What would be the most what's out there or stretch guess that you would make for season 2 for some that might happen?
I think the biggest stretch, I mean, that's a difficult question. They've been very good with keeping things low key. I mean, yeah, we all know the whole child or Baby Yoda last season, keeping that a secret was huge. I mean, the trailer showed us virtually nothing, which I liked. I don't need the whole story shown to me. So I think the biggest deep end thing that I could almost see happening would be that the child is actually related to Yoda.
For me, I think that we might see season 2 focus, just because of the things that came in the trailer, that Din Djarin is following Luke Skywalker's where he's been seen. And you see a lot of the scenes in there may allude to places from the original trilogy that we've seen or from the comics. And I think that there's a chance that the secret that Lucasfilm's holding tight is a cameo of Mark Hamill. I think that's possible, that he'll find him. So that's the most out there one for me. It's not that I think it will happen, but I think it could happen. So I'll throw that out there. Imagine Maker, where would you guess?
I think I've done a video on what I think the most outrageous one is, which is these quirky cries. But but to support your assertion, I mean, we do know recently Mark Hamill sold his likeness to Disney for the use in Star Wars so that he could be digitally recreated. So we know that's true. So that's not an outside the box necessarily speculation, I think. And as much as they're working in this, I think that's is certainly possible. So what do I think is ultimately the twist of the story? I think that the twist of the story is that it's really about Boba Fett. I think that's where we're going to take it to. That's my out there.
So I want to ask another related to it. I don't know if you followed Hasbro's online con that they had last week, Friday to Saturday. And Friday was Star Wars Day, if you will. And Hasbro released several figures, and they have the new HasLab project with and the Mandalorian is featured heavily all across. But with the HasLab, they showed when the release that we passed the 6,000 backers. Now there's an 8,000 stretch goal. With the 8,000 stretch goal, there's an escape pod. Do you think that could be a minor spoiler?
So I know about the I supported the sail barge. I have one upstairs right now taking up a lot of space. So I'm a big collector. So I haven't done the Razor Crest support yet. I'm probably going to, but don't want to tell that to my fiance just yet. Anyway, I think it could be. I mean, then again, maybe not. I mean, they've kept a really tight ship with the spoilers on the Mandalorian, other than supposedly Boba Fett and Ahsoka being in there, which is something I think they might just let slip just to get excitement going. I mean, I truly think, that probably, if those are true, they probably did just come from Lucasfilm to kind of get people even more excited for the next seasons.
Yeah, there's the scene in the trailer where the Razor Crest is on fire. Right? It seems to be coming into atmosphere ablaze. And I tend to think that escape pod is a minor spoiler, that as they go through the re-entry and that thing's on fire, they're going to have to use it to escape. So, minor spoiler, but I do think we'll see it in season 2.
Do you have any more questions for Thor?
I'll stay.
I've covered the questions I had, and Thor, I just can't thank you enough.
I'm happy to do it. Really, I'm thank you.
And we have enjoyed talking Star Wars with you for sure.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you. I mean, you're more than welcome back. I mean, we really don't talk about The Last Jedi very often anymore. We're more Mandalorian and looking forward. So, I mean, it's kind of become a joke on the server that we, every time somebody mentions The Last Jedi, it's like, oh, it's been, 1 day and 12 hours since anybody talked about it. So we've kind of moved on from it.
All right.
Thank you for talking Star Wars with us.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
All right, everyone, before you go, click the end screen, go over to Santa's channel, and watch the other half of the interview over there.